Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Jenna Redfield and I'm so excited to be sharing with you guys a twofer video today. Today I'll be going through what's on my iPhone in 2019. I did this video a few years ago and people really seem to like it. Plus I'm going to be sharing with you what's on my Apple Watch. I got my Apple Watch last year and I use it every day and I want to show you some of my favorite things that I use on there. So let's get started. Okay, so I am using an iPhone 7 Plus. So it's a few years old, but I really like using it for everything that I do. So hopefully you'll be able to see this. Yeah, I think you can. So in the first folder, I actually have all of my music. So I use iTunes, Sonos, which has like a speaker system in the house, Spotify, which I actually use for both podcasts and music, as well as my podcast app. I can maybe go through some of the podcasts I listen to on Spotify. So if you go to podcasts, I like the Spotify podcast app because it doesn't automatically download everything and take up a bunch of my space, but they don't have every podcast on there. Some of my favorites include, obviously, the Twin Size Collective podcast, Momentum for the Entrepreneur. I really like interview type podcasts. Some of them, Jenna podcast. I was just on Stationary Astronauts last week. So I'm in a few of these, which is kind of funny. Just kind of a lot of random podcasts. So if there's any that you want to ask me about, let me know. But I listen to a bunch of different types of podcasts. I also have them on the podcast app. Moving over, this is my email folder. I probably have too many emails, but I use two different email. I can never decide between these two. This is the Gmail as well as the actual mail app. Streak is something I mostly use on my computer, but it allows you to sort your emails into categories. And then Unroll Me is like the best app of all time. It allows you to unsubscribe or roll up different emails. I tell people about it all the time. I highly, highly recommend that one. Over here, I have my calendar. I've got both the regular iTunes one as well as Google Calendar. I use this on a regular basis to track all of my appointments. Moving over to, these are some of my maps and weather. So I mostly use Google Maps. Why I love Google Maps over Apple Maps is Google Maps actually allows me to track everything. I don't know, I just find it a lot better. The maps are a lot more, I don't know, I just feel like the maps are more reliable and a lot of the routes are better, and I just prefer Google Maps to Apple Maps. I also have, if you guys didn't know, if you're ever parking in Minneapolis, there is the Minneapolis parking app. So if I ever have to up my meter, I always have this on my phone. Just got a notification. Moving over, these are more of like my clock. I used to use this more. I should probably start using it again. It kind of tracks your sleep, and it also has an Apple Watch app, and then Calm, which is another like meditation app. Okay, so these are all my fitness apps. So basically what I have is I have the health app and the activity app, which are both kind of go with my Apple Watch. My Fitness Pal, which I think you can track food. I've never really used it. Zones is one of my favorite apps, and I'll talk about that a little bit more on the Apple Watch, but it kind of tracks your heart rate zone. I have the Apple Watch app. I also have a few timing apps that allow me to, if I wanted to do like interval training, it's like a stopwatch. And then I go to LA Fitness, so that is my LA Fitness app to look for classes and all that. So that's another thing that I have. This is my entertainment folder. Pretty self-explanatory. Some of the stuff I put on like timer, so it's like blurred out. So it's like, oh, you've already used it enough. So if I click on it, it says it's past the time limit. You can actually look at that in iOS 12. You can actually set time limits for things. It's kind of weird because some of them are in weird categories though. So these are mostly movie stuff, Prime Video, Tubi, you can watch free movies, and then I also have YouTube, Netflix, and Hulu, which are what I mostly watch on my phone. Obviously the settings app. Then we move over to phones. I have my FaceTime and iPhone. I have Mr. Number as well, which allows me to block calls. And then Google Voice, I actually use that instead of my regular phone number so that people don't know my regular phone number. I still get a lot of spam calls though. These are just my extras folder, and I also put my Sudoku in there. It's the only game I have on my phone. I'm not really a games kind of person. I don't really play a lot of games on my phone, so I just thought I'd put it somewhere. I have a few reminder apps, like my notes. These are more for stuff at home, like my Alexa. I have a Amazon Echo Dot, so that I can track that with Google Home, Xfinity Home, and my Apple TV remote. Okay, this I mentioned on my stories last week. These are my my photo apps that I use for Instagram. We have camera, photos that both come with the iPhone. Google Photos is by far one of my favorite apps to actually store and organize all my photos. You can actually search Google Photos. I have every photo I've ever taken basically in Google Photos for the last 10 years of my life. I've uploaded even old stuff that was on like Facebook and stuff. PhotoScan's a really cool app if you're scanning old photos. I'm actually doing that right now with some of my old photos. Later, preview, allow you to schedule Instagram, obviously Instagram. Visco is my favorite to edit photos. This one's a kind of a cool app. It allows you to take like Polaroid looking photos. I think it's called Huji. Whistle Camera is one of the best apps where instead of clicking it, if you're taking like a group photo, you can actually just whistle at the camera and it will take the picture. I've got the Camera Connect for Canon that connects this camera that I'm recording with. Afterlight, which is another photo editing app. Moment, that works with my Moment lens that I just got. And it actually allows you to basically turn your phone into a DSLR. And it actually like has really cool effects. So that's really cool. Moving on, InShot is a video editor. This one, it's called Nebufilm. It actually makes your photos look like film. Like to Know It is an app that I follow if I want to know if someone's wearing a specific outfit. Facetune allows me to kind of edit some of my photos. And then Texting Story is where you can actually make your phone look like someone's texting you. So it's great for like writing something down. Okay, these are my Instagram story apps. Unfold is one of my favorites. Story Art, Storylux, they're all like story template apps. Canva I use to make graphics for everything. Resize for Story allows you to resize your videos for story. Clipomatic adds captions to your stories. Continual makes your videos go into 15-second intervals. Obviously Boomerang, which I can also use inside of stories. HypeType allows me to add moving text to my stories. Okay, these are like some of my business apps. I've got Trello, which allows me to take notes. I keep a lot of things in Trello. Dropbox is what I use with my podcast producer. He adds my podcast to Dropbox so that I can access it. PureChat is what I use for the chat on my website. So that's really, really cool. Files, obviously I keep files in there. That's another Apple app. Eventbrite and Eventbrite Organizer. I run all of my events through Eventbrite, so I have to have those apps to track everything. Google Drive is where I store all of my documents. T-Sheets is a way to do hours, and then Slack is a way to communicate with different people. Okay, moving on. These are some of my reading apps. So I've got Goodreads is one of my favorite apps because it allows me to track what books I'm reading. I can read them on Kindle. Libby, RB Digital, and Overdrive are all Hennepin County Library apps that allow me to read books, either audiobooks or ebooks. Amazon, obviously, to buy products. I've got a Bible app, and then I actually have the Hennepin County app I go to the library all the time, so that's one of my favorite apps. Okay, these are more of my social media and news apps. I probably look at this one too much. I look at e-news, and then the regular news app, Twitter, Facebook Messenger, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google, Wikipedia, and then Google Analytics. So these are just the ones that I look at these all day long. These are probably some of my most used apps, so I put those in there. I also have a few other ones. I still have Etsy, so I have my Etsy apps. These are some of my shopping apps, so Target and Ulta, those are the only two I have. And I'm really big into Ancestry and all that stuff, so I go on there a lot to track my DNA, and I'm doing a lot of stuff with my family tree right now, so that is on my phone. And then the final app is my US Bank and wallet, which I can track my money, so that's important. Obviously on the main one, I have my text, internet, and Facebook. But that's really what's on my phone in 2019. If you have any additional questions about any of these apps, I delete apps on the regular, so I really only keep the stuff on there that I actually use on a regular basis, and I can keep it all in one page. So I really don't have as many as I used to. I really, really do try to Marie Kondo my apps and make sure they're only things that I enjoy watching. So now we're going to move on to show you a few of the apps I use on my Apple Watch. If you've never seen an Apple Watch before, Usually you can pick what your intro looks like. I usually try to have different things coming up, events, weather, and then you click the center and it'll actually show you all of the apps. If you actually click on this, it actually shows you like notifications, emails, all of that stuff. So these are the apps I have. A lot of them are fitness trackers, like this one does heart rate, but one of my favorite ones is called Zones. And you can actually set it up so that whatever exercise you're doing, it tracks your heart rate and it makes it really, really big. So like if I were to click, let's try yoga. This is probably one I use probably the most. It just measures your heart rate and shows you where you are. And then during the workout, it can let you know when you change zones, because I don't think that the regular apps do that. And I'm really into heart rate stuff. Yep, so that's something. So that's just something that, and then you can track it and save your workout. One of my other favorite ones, if you know somebody else that has an Apple Watch, I do this with my mom a lot. We use the walkie-talkie. So you can actually just click it and talk, and then they walkie-talkie with you. So that's one of my favorite apps. I also obviously use like iTunes, Spotify. I can quick respond to text too. So if someone's texted me, I can really, really quickly respond to them. There's just like a bunch of really cool apps on here. Oh, one of my favorite ones is you can actually have it open your phone camera. So let's see if this works. You can actually see what's on my phone right now. I'm holding my phone, you'll see right here. And it's really cool. You can actually click this and it takes a photo. So that's one of my favorite apps on the Apple Watch, is if you can actually take photos with it. Checking emails, weather. There's really not one that I'm like obsessed with. I would say the ones I use the most are the zones for working out, texting people back. Obviously I use the watch, and then also I mentioned walkie-talkie as well. Those are probably my favorite ones. Let me know what your favorites are, because I'm always looking for new apps to look at on my Apple Watch, because I obviously use it all the time.